Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Mark's YouTube channel. You can also check me out on Spotify. However you're listening to my voice, I appreciate it. It's been about a week since I have spoke with you guys, but I had a busy week. I had a week of a new schedule, working a little nighttime schedule here. Went to Boone for a work trip, I so to speak. Went to take some pictures of some snow. Kind of snuck into a ski resort. Had a great time. For my first time in my life since I was like 14 years old, I have Saturdays off now, and I use it to do other things that I got to accomplish for work, and that got in the way of my wrestling watching. So I did keep up with a lot. Did keep up with all I said I was going to keep up with, but I definitely just kept up with it. Hope you guys won't mind. I still have a lot of analysis, still have a lot of opinions. Still, I'm going to be very enthusiastic and energetic about these opinions, as I hope you guys are, because I love feedback. Let me know what you think about it. We're going to be talking about WWE. We're going to be talking about TNA, New Japan, and AEW. And, of course, we're jumping right into it, WWE, NXT. I didn't have a lot of time to watch NXT this week, but I did catch Lexis King versus my guy Dragon Lee. Both these guys are good. It's not because these guys can go that made this match so good. It was another star entering into the screen here. Solid match, champ retains, but then Obi Femi, the leader of the breakout tournament, cashes in his title shot for the North American title. Dragon Lee dives on and bell sounds. The crowd that was just behind Dragon Lee all of a sudden switched to the new guy here. Very fickle group here in the NXT arena, whatever they call it, the Impact Zone, the NXT Zone, and he becomes the North American champion. I checked out his promo on YouTube because it looks like he can kind of go in the ring. So I wanted to see if he can go on the mic, and he's breathing. And then he just says one word. He might not have it on the mic, but he could have a mouthpiece. I think we still have a star in our hands. Who knows? He might be a little more veer than Batista, but right now I'm hoping this is his Leviathan days, and he can rise to become a big star. Speaking of big stars, Roman Reigns, the biggest star on SmackDown, wasn't on SmackDown. Bloodline attacking Cameron Grimes before a match here. Grayson Waller, in theory, gladly let them do that because they were going to have a match with him. Right then and there, they attacked him on the ramp. Aldis pissed about it, though. Wants to punish Roman, but he's not there. I guess he does want to push him. He wants him there on his TV show, but he's not there. Tells them to find a third man because they're in a 6-man tag with Orton, Knight, and AJ Styles later on. A man down, so they attack Orton on his way to the ring. But can LA Knight and AJ Styles coexist? Can they coexist? AJ in trouble here. Bloodline looking strong. And then the voices in our heads collectively is the voice of Randy Orton's theme song playing. Randy Orton comes out, cleans house, RKO, 1, 2, 3. Phenomenal forearm for good measure. And they also attack Jimmy as well. Paul on the phone with Roman, but he can't do shit about it because he didn't show up for work. Is the Bloodline storyline as good as it was in 2022 going into Mania of 2023? No. But is it still pretty awesome? Yes. Is it probably the best thing on SmackDown? Yes. But there was some good stuff on SmackDown as well. Lashley and the Profits pissed about getting physically assaulted by AOP and Cross last week. I would be too. That makes sense. So they're challenging them. We get a video package on the screen. Kind of mid. Not as cool as the reveal last week. But we did get their name, the Final Testament. Not a bad name. The name is only as good as the faction, right? Bullet Club is kind of a shitty name. The Red Hot Chili Peppers is kind of a shitty name. But Final Testament, I like it. It's dark. It's ominous. Kind of like what they're going for. We'll see what happens in the third week, keeping up with this. Logan Paul and Kevin Owens wrestling at the Rumble. This is going to be good. They have a little promo battle setting up for a talk show. They talked on away from each other. Now they're going to be talking face to face next week. Carmelo and Austin Theory had a brief moment where things looked like it got a little nasty, but Carmelo looked good prior to that spot. I like where they're going with him, but it looks like they took away kind of Dragon Lee and kind of replaced him with maybe a little Carmelo. I'm not sure. Jumping over to Raw, though, the talk of the town, the talk of Twitter, Jinder Mahal's championship match here versus Rollins. Indy Sheer at ringside, as well as Damian Priest, Mr. Money in the Bank, crowd behind the champ, springboard senton, springboard moonsault. Rollins is diving everywhere. 1-2, Jinder kicks out. Pedigree, 1-2, Veer puts his foot, or tries to, on the rope. Rollins dives, taking out Indy Sheer. Priest looking thirsty, looking like he wants to cash in a Money in the Bank or something, but that's when Drew McIntyre shows up. They brawl to the back. Jinder hits a fireman's carry F5 type thing. 1-2, no. Indy Sheer distracts the ref, hits Rollins with the briefcase that was left out there by Damian Priest. 1-2, no. Indy Sheer gets tossed out. This would have been a huge spot in AEW, but this Nebraska crowd really didn't give a shit. Stomp. 1-2-3. Rollins gets the victory. That wasn't all we saw of Drew on Raw, though. We did see him slowly slipping from sanity, getting a little more angry week to week. I'm enjoying this aspect of Drew McIntyre and Raw. In the ring with Cody, he wants Cody to lose his smile. Like Shawn Michaels comes from NXT, like, no, don't lose your smile. No, Cody, doesn't want to lose his smile because he says that he's doing what he loves. It's authentic, but really they're just kind of setting up Royal Rumble talk. Speaking of talk, R-Truth talking to fans, selling them Judgment Day T-shirts. Priest is pissed about it until he gets that wad of cash in his hand. This is kind of a silly thing, but a little foreshadowing for later on, some shenanigans that were going to happen later on. Dom and JD McDonough versus DIY. Dom with the furry boots. I know it was cold in Nebraska, but come on, Dom, what's up with that? Solid little match here. I noticed that on Raw. I also noticed that Becky Lynch talking to Rhea Ripley. Becky says that she thinks that Rhea may be better than her. She says that she needs to win the Royal Rumble to point at the sign. I mean, come on, don't make it that obvious. Becky, we know that everyone points at the sign, but, you don't have to just say it like that. Mommy says, I'll see you at Mania. So she assumes that Becky's going to win the Rumble. I guess I assume Becky's going to win the Royal Rumble. But I said since the draft that this is obviously where they were going for Mania. It made sense the entire time. I mean, Rhea just been dominant, doing good stuff with Judgment Day. Becky doing really good stuff with Trish. Going to NXT doing good stuff. But they kind of been treading water, being awesome this whole time. And here it is coming to fruition. But jumping over to Dynamite at Daly's Place. I don't know why they don't do more amphitheater shows. I mean, Collision, the numbers are down. ROH, the numbers are down. Go to these big amphitheaters and do shows and have the same setup as Daly's Place. It looks cool. The crowd is hot. It's echoey in these amphitheaters. You can even sell lawn seats for a wrestling show. I feel like that would be pretty cool. They're trying to make me cry here, showing the Brody Lee stuff at Daly's Place. Bullet Club Gold and the Acclaim run into each other. They want to form kind of a bang bang scissor gang. Austin was into it. I'm into it. Joe comes out with the title in a suit, looking sharp, is open to anyone challenging him, and then Swerve's music hits, and then of course with Swerve out there, Hangman comes out, Hangman mustache looking strong. They both want a title shot, but they both kind of want to whoop each other's ass more, so they leave. And then Hook's music hits. Action Bronson bars fill the Jacksonville air. They get face to face. Joe, in the suit, and then Hook in the hoodie. It's a nice little look here. Hook with the challenge for the title next week, I guess tomorrow. As I'm recording this on a Tuesday night, Toni Storm in the back. Didn't watch Mariah May's match, so she didn't technically see Deonna Purrazzo come out. Yuta mad that Eddie Kingston called him a young boy bitch, and that makes sense to me. I would hate if someone called me a young boy bitch. Who wouldn't be mad at that? But then you get Deonna Purrazzo cutting a promo on Toni Storm. She's very underrated, I would say, in the looks department, as well as Red Velvet. I think they both kind of look, like traditionally attractive there, traditionally, whatever. And they have a match on Collision we'll talk about. But let's break down every single match from Dynamite worst to first. The worst match out of 6 on the show: Willow, Statlander, Anna Jay, and Thunder Rosa versus Sky Blue, Julia Hart, Saraya, and Ruby, with Harley Cameron at ringside. All these ladies, so little time. I think that's what kind of hindered this match from being good. Harley gets involved. Sky Blue takes advantage. 4 women get suplexed at the same damn time. Queen Slayer locked in by Anna Jay, and Sky Blue taps out. Solid match on a great show. Number 5, Mogul Embassy and Archer versus Preston Vance. Hand-picked faction. Is he in a faction? Yes, he is. Why didn't they just have LAJ? No one fucking knows. Well, I guess he was, he was a protege of Brody Lee in the Dark Order. So did he team with the Dark Order? No. Did he team with LIJ? No. They could have just done this story without having these hand-picked guys like Adam Copeland, Dustin, Orange Cassidy. Archer should join this team full-time. He should be a Mogul affiliate. Jake the Snake takes out Jose the assistant. Maybe that will lead to something, with Ingo Renables and the Mogul affiliates. Who knows? All hell breaks loose. Copeland hits a spear. Dustin dives off the apron. Discus lariat from Vance. 1, 2, 3. The good guys get the victory. Number 4, Roderick Strong with the Undisputed Kingdom versus Brian Keith. 2 snug competitors. Brian Keith laying it in, leaving Roderick's chest red, but at the end of the day, end of heartache, gets hit. 1, 2, 3. Roddy gets the victory. And then Adam Cole's out there in the ring. He sits down. Undisputed Kingdom behind him. He's cutting a good promo. And then he says Roderick Strong is one of the best wrestlers alive today. Or is the greatest wrestler alive today. That's a stretch, but he was feeling himself. Let's let him cook here. Puts over the Kingdom. Puts over Wardlow, who's wearing sweats. I don't know. I feel like he should have dressed up a little more for, his occasion on television. Number 3, Sammy Guevara versus Ricky Starks. Sammy going for a moonsault. Starks drops Sammy on the apron. We got a match on our hands. Sammy goes for a moonsault in the ring. No one home. Lariat, sit down, powerbomb. 1, 2, no. Sammy kicks out. Super kick. 1, 2, 3. Sammy gets the victory. Ricky Starks out of it. Good match. They shake hands, but only to set up Sammy getting attacked by Big Bill for the match that, we were going to see on Battle of the Belts. Chris Jericho comes out to save Sammy. They play Chris Jericho's music the entire time, possibly to turn down the boos. I would assume it was to turn down the boos. He did get a cheer when he addressed the crowd, which is good. And then at Battle of the Belts, they were backstage. So I do think that they are troubleshooting a way to maybe hopefully get everyone to forget about these allegations. The guy who initially made these vague allegations I'll say it, he backpedaled a little bit, which, is probably good for Jericho. So, do these little tricks, and then we'll just kind of talk about it on the podcast, and maybe he'll come out and get cheered as he always did. I hope they are just allegations. I hope they aren't true for everyone's sake. But the second best match on the show, Sting and Darby with Ric Flair versus Takeshita and Hobbs, brawling right away, going right into the crowd, chairs, snug chops. You gotta love it. Coffin drop to Takeshita, but he catches him and then hits a Chaos Theory on the outside. This spot looked awesome. Takeshita and Hobbs tossing Darby Allin like a rag doll. They grab his limbs at one point and just heave him through the air. He got injured in this match. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the spot that injured him. I could believe it if they told me that. But these moves looked awesome, I gotta say, at the time. I enjoyed the hell out of watching Takeshita and Hobbs toss around Darby Allin. Flair gets in the ring. He's seen enough. Chops Hobbs. Hobbs laughs, goes for a swing, ends up getting the eye poke. Love that spot there, getting the old man in there. Love it. The Nature Boy. Sting takes out Takeshita. Darby with the craziest suicide dive in the business. And then he climbs on the set and dives on Takeshita again. Scorpion death drop off the stage through a table to Hobbs. This looked like it took the fucking wind out of Sting's. Sting, 1, 2, 3. Sting gets the victory after like lazily putting his hand on Hobbs. Something happened. He was not expecting to fall that hard. They should have put the table a little further out. It looks like it did not really catch his fall. The first table didn't break at all. But Sting's crazy. He's going for these wild-ass spots. He's 60 fucking years old. Darby Allin is crazy, and they get the fucking victory. Tony Schiavone's in the ring. I thought this was kind of funny, too, because like once Sting got the wind knocked out of him, the refs, Ric Flair, all check in on Sting, and we now know that Darby Allin was legitimately injured. No one checking on Darby. He's just walking back to the ring like everything's fine. Tony Schiavone in the ring, though, asking who his opponent should be, and then we hear the Super Kick Party, and the Young Bucks music hits. They come out. They grew these little mustaches. I feel like everyone in the Elite were like, let's grow some mustaches, and Hangman grew a fucking sick one. And the Young Bucks, maybe they didn't have enough time to grow a sick one. Let's go with that. But it's going to be Young Bucks and Sting. Hopefully Darby Allin is not injured anymore and can come back. In the Greensboro Coliseum, March 3rd. First time the Young Bucks, I think, are wrestling in the Greensboro Coliseum ever. And then Sting's last time wrestling in the Greensboro Coliseum. I mean, not the match I would have picked. But that's the match we're going to fucking get. I'll just leave it at that. Young Bucks, they have they do great things. They put together matches well, and I can see this still being an awesome match. But this wasn't the best match on the show. Hangman Adam Page versus Claudio, solid match. Brawling on the outside, back in the ring, brawling in the inside. Sharpshooter from Claudio. Hangman needs a beer. He gets one. Fan obliges. Vintage Hangman there. Claudio press slams his ass from the ring to the entrance ramp. Uppercut, 1, 2, no. Then he starts slamming Page's back into the wall or the stage area. Hangman does a moonsault off the stage. Tombstone, 1, 2, no. Ricola bomb. Counter off the top. Buckshot, 1, 2, 3. Hangman Page gets the win. Great match, best match on the show. And then we'll go into it a little bit here. Like I said, I wasn't able to watch a lot, but I did tune in to Battle of the Belts to hear the crowd reaction, and they went to the back. When in doubt, go to the back. They can't hear you in the back. You can mute the crowd. It's all good. For the problem at hand and the solution that they're looking for, I think that was good. But then going over to Collision, Hangman versus JD Drake. Hangman usually not on Collision, just had that great match with Claudio, and here he is. I say this all the time, but I used to watch all of these guys, Anthony Henry, Hangman Page, and JD Drake, for this promotion called PWX out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So it's always wild to see these guys. Crossbody 1, 2. JD kicks out. Adam Page hits a DVD on JD's big ass. 1, 2. JD still kicks out. JD misses a moonsault. Adam takes out Henry and then hits a deadeye or a buckshot. 1, 2, 3. Hangman, like I said, been killing it. It looks like they're heating them up. They're turning that pan to high, and they're giving it a little elbow. They're ready. They're letting him sizzle a little bit. I bet they're gonna put the title on him, and then they're gonna have Hangman and Swerve fight for the title. That's what I think. We also had the debut of Deonna Purrazzo versus Red Velvet, like I already previously talked about. Velvet holding her own. Deonna landing some snug chops, and then a bicycle leg sweep into a very cool armbar, nicely done by Purrazzo, and then she just kind of makes it like a double armbar thing, tapping out Velvet, solid showing from Purrazzo. Hook comes out, gets ready for his match, going up against Kevin Matthews. Been around for 22 years, wrestled in AEW before Impact ROH, and even wrestled a little bit in WWE in 2005. He gets choked out by Hook. Of course, having that match that everyone talked about. Of course, Tony Khan kind of showing his ass on Twitter, saying that why does Jinder Mahal get a title shot when he lost every match this year, but Hook, who's 28-1, gets a match. Yeah, because he wrestled all enhancement talent, and it's just kind of a silly thing to bring up. And he got roasted, like USA Network, Jinder Mahal, like everyone was just laying into this guy. Samoa Joe even alluded to hoe-ass comments on Twitter, and I'm sure that internally they're thinking that was not reference to Tony Khan, but I would definitely describe how Tony Khan acted on Twitter as having hoe-ass comments. But going over to TNA, the first TNA pay-per-view in like 8 years or whatever, the first one that it's not called Impact in 8 years, Eric Young leading the charge during the cold open. I love the setting of this large theater. Bayley and Mercedes Moné in attendance, watching Trinity. Moné not at the New Japan show, at the TNA show. So it's safe to say that ship has sailed for both of those entities, which does not take away from her star power, but it does lessen her argument that she was making being misused in the WWE if she went somewhere else and really nothing came of it. After, coming out of Wrestle Kingdom in 2023 and, kind of having some disappointing matches, getting injured, it didn't really go anywhere. We'll get to that New Japan show and stuff a little later. But let's look at this card. I only watched 2 matches, but we'll still run down the card, and maybe I got some thoughts. Steve Maclin defeats Rich Swann, 2 former champions. Maclin was a champion a little more recent, so that doesn't surprise me. The System, Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards defeat Eric Young and freaking Kazarian. That doesn't surprise me either, knowing that the System is kind of a faction that Moose was running, and Moose was in the main event, so they're kind of heating all that up. Crazy Steve defeats Tommy Dreamer. I really, don't know too much about that. I don't know too much about that. AJ Francis on the show, Top Dollar. I should have watched this one. I'm pretty interested in that one. They performed We Outside, the music video shown on the pay-per-view. So, it looks like here Bleacher Report gives it a C+ as I'm scrolling through their website. Shout out to Bleacher Report, as if they needed me to shout them out. And then we get to the Ultimate X knockout match. Shaw, however you say her name, defeats, she wins the match. I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention there, but I mean, that's kind of cool for her to win the match. Hopefully Rick Steiner was watching in disgust. PCO versus Dirty Dango. It becomes a 6-man tag for whatever reason, and PCO gets the victory via Dirty Dango DQ. So it looks like they're going to continue this one here. I hear good things about Fandango and TNA, and then I've always loved PCO. So this kind of intrigues me. If I had a little more time, I'd pay a little more attention. And then we had the women's, I think it was the Impact Tag Team Championship, the Knockouts Tag Team Championship, changed hands. Rosemary and Havoc defeat MK Ultra. And then X Division Championship match, Chris Sabin, Kushida, and El Hijo del Vikingo. So this is pretty interesting. I mean, Kushida, big star in the 2010s in New Japan, went over to NXT, not really much happened. I would say El Hijo del Vikingo, the breakout star of 2023 as far as, world wrestling, versus a staple of Impact, TNA, whatever you'd like to call it, for 20 years, Chris Sabin. And Chris Sabin, the champion going in, the champion going out. So they have these stars. They can get Vikingo in the ring. They can get Kushida, but it's really the guard isn't changing. The status quo is still the status quo in Impact or TNA as they call it. Then we had Josh Alexander versus Alexander Hammerstone. The reason I was tuning into the pay-per-view, a match I made sure to watch. Josh Alexander versus Alexander Hammerstone. A match very hard to call, very hard to review because of Alexander being in both their names, but a match I enjoyed. A guy who flew the flag for MLW for a very long time versus the guy who flies the flag for Impact Wrestling or TNA. Meeting at Hard to Kill. Josh going after the leg. Hammerstone feeling the effects throughout the match. And Josh locks in the ankle lock, stomps on the leg, and wrenches back even more. Hammerstone gets to the ropes. Hammerstone fires back. DVD on the apron. Missile dropkick off the top. TKO 1-2. Josh kicks out. This is awesome chance. Sit down powerbomb 1-2. Josh kicks out again. Roll up from Josh 1-2. No. C4 spike 1-2-3. Josh Alexander wins the match. So like we're seeing with Hammerstone and Vikingo, they get these big stars who are, kind of making a name for themselves, making waves, but oftentimes the status quo wins in TNA, and who can blame them? They're trying to put over the stars they have contracted. I don't know if Hammerstone got a contract from this match, but I would give him one. The dude looks like $1 million fucking bucks, and you got to have people to go up against the world champion, who we'll talk about in a little bit. 4-way match for the TNA World Tag Team Championship, and who won this one? The Grizzled Young, or ABC, defeat the Grizzled Young Vets, the Rascals, Mike Bailey, and Laredo Kid. ABC, kind of like I was saying before, the status quo, guys who are in Impact, Ace Austin and, Chris Bay. I thought they were going to put the titles on the Vets, but they kept the status quo here. It seems like they're really trying to promote TNA as a brand, pushing their champions, not necessarily, getting new guys over. But Jordynne Grace did defeat Trinity. I think, the rumor is that Trinity is going back to the WWE. Jordynne Grace, even though she didn't have the championship, is kind of synonymous with TNA at this point. So that doesn't surprise me. And then we had the world title match. Alex Shelley, a guy who's been in Impact, TNA, what have you, for 20 years, versus Moose, a guy who's been in Impact for, I would say, 7 years at this point. Slow pace, the early going, huge dropkick from Moose. Pace picks up as they both land strikes. Both men down after Shelley drops Moose with a DDT. D'Angelo Williams, I guess the football player, I should know him. He played for the Panthers. I think it was Williams, Myers, Eddie Edwards all come out. Kushida and Sabin take all of them out. The football player actually stayed out there for a little bit for some reason, but I think he kind of realized, he should have gone to the back with them. I don't think this was necessary. Moose in trouble. Both men landing clobbering blows. Moose hits a spear. 1, 2, 3. Moose is the TNA World Champion here. So this was the big title change of the night. The women's tag titles, that could flip-flop around. It doesn't matter too much. As a train comes by in Gibsonville, North Carolina, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can definitely hear it right by my house. I like this move. As they say, Moose passes the airport test. He's a big guy, former NFL player, and he's been with the company a long time. And as he celebrates, though, the real news of the event happens. His faction comes out, and then Nick Namath, former Dolph Ziggler, they're looking up the ramp. His faction's looking up the ramp, but Nick Namath is in the ring behind him, drops the champion, rips off his Motley Crue tank to reveal a TNA tank, and he's celebrating. Nick Namath, a guy who can have a great match with anybody, a guy who's used to wrestling bigger men, is probably going to get a world title shot versus the biggest man they got. This is great. Two guys who, like I mentioned, could pass the airport test. You got Hammerstone who could pass the airport test. You got a lot of people in TNA. It's very interesting to watch in 2024. I'm interested. I'm also interested in New Japan Pro Wrestling and Mustafa Ali. Great video package bringing in Mustafa Ali, doing the same gimmick that he was doing in NXT, bringing it over to New Japan, and he challenges Hiromu Takahashi April 12th in Chicago. So he has this match with Gringo Loco and GCW in Chicago. He has this match with Hiromu Takahashi in Chicago. It seems like he's the Chicago kid now. CM Punk is kind of this worldwide phenomenon. Chicago needs another Chicago kid, like that guy they got on the Blackhawks. Of course, they had Michael Jordan, they had Walter Payton, they have all these guys, but we need a new Chicago kid. Chicago needs a new kid. It's the guy from the Blackhawks. It might be Mustafa Ali. What I thought could have been better was the Jack Perry thing. Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, comes out in San Jose. It's his home state, and he mouths something about a phone call. He attacks Shota Umino, and then he holds up the AEW contract and rips it up. And then, so that's interesting. I think it's a work because AEW and New Japan have a working relationship anyways. I think maybe Tony Khan is pissed at Jungle Boy for starting shit and says, like, why don't you just go to New Japan? Who cares? So even if he does sign to New Japan, he can still wrestle in AEW theoretically. He puts on an armband that says Scapegoat. The whole thing screams a gimmick. It's more interesting than what he was doing before, which is nothing. It's more interesting than what he was kind of doing with him and Hook. I mean, just look at Hook, and Hook's got a world title shot, and he doesn't. So last time we saw him in August, I mean, I didn't miss him. I don't know. I'll just say that right now. Yeah. So, we'll see where this goes, but I don't think that Jungle Boy will be any more interesting wrestling in New Japan strong. Going over the matches here, we have Fred Rosser, Jacob Grondy, and Shota Umino defeating Team Filthy. So that's how Shota Umino was out there to get attacked. I guess they're doing Shota Umino versus Jack Perry. Masquerade Dorada and Valdor Jr. defeat Rocky Romero and Sabarino Jr. David Finlay defeats TJP. Guerrillas of Destiny defeat Bullet Club War Dogs. So LP and Hikuleo keep their titles. Julia defeats Trisha Dora. And we'll go into this match because I was pretty stoked on this match. Julia, of course, getting looked at by WWE, rumored to go to WWE, says that AEW hasn't reached out to her, which means they probably have too many people officially now that they're not trying to sign this. They're not trying to sign Julia, star of Stardom and star of New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong. Trisha Dora, indie standout, pops up in AEW from time to time. Julia eating up the chant-heavy crowd in America. It doesn't really happen too much in Japan as much as it does America. Trish in control after 5 minutes. The larger wrestler putting the bigger star on the ground, trying to control the pace. Julia counters and locks in the STF. Trish with a German, Julia on her feet, and then she hits a German, Trish on her feet. We have a German suplex standoff here. Trish with some Bubba Bomb going into a cattle mutilation. I never thought I would see that combination. That's why I like Trish Adora. Honestly, she's a great wrestler. Interesting combo of moves for sure. Brawl to the floor, battle up top, double underhook from Julia, 1 count, knee strike, 1-2, Trish out again, Northern Lights bomb, 1-2-3, Julia gets the victory here. Definitely more over than Trish, but I gotta say I like Trish Adora a little more, even though Julia is, she's fucking hot, she can go. It makes no sense that WWE would not sign her, and that's the rumor here. So we're going into the Rumble. We could have Julia, we could have Trinity. No, I think Julia is around for a little bit longer, but I definitely think we're gonna have Trinity fought too in the Women's Royal Rumble. The Chosen Bros, Jeff Cobb and Matt Riddle, defeat TMDK. I didn't catch Matt Riddle's debut in New Japan. I should have, but I just didn't. And then it's kind of weird that Jeff Cobb is, affiliated with this Will Ospreay faction, and he breaks the faction to do the Chosen Bros thing. I don't know. Eddie Kingston defeats Gabriel Kidd, or it's a double countout. So he keeps his title but doesn't necessarily defeat Gabriel Kidd. John Moxley defeats Shingo Takagi. I loved Shingo with the mullet, the jeans, and the sleeveless white shirt. Remind me of like a brawl that you would see in the Mid-Atlantic or anything, something like that. And then we had Okada versus Will Ospreay. Of course, Will Ospreay about to leave New Japan, so this might be one of the last times we get to see these classic matches from these two. Crowd more behind Ospreay, I would say, than Okada. Action spills to the floor in the first 5 minutes. Ospreay gaining the momentum here. Back in the ring, Okada tries to control the pace. We got a match on our hands for sure at this point. Oscutter 1-2. Okada kicks out. This is an awesome chance in the San Jose building here. Both men down at the 15-minute mark. Action goes to the floor again. Tombstone from Okada. Just landed on the outside, gets him back in the ring. Rainmaker countered by a standing Spanish fly. 1-2. Okada kicks out. No chance here. You can just feel the tension in the arena. Countered the Rainmaker again into a sunset flip, and then hits the Styles Clash. 1-2. Okada kicks out. Stormbreaker from Okada. Rainmaker 1-2. Ospreay kicks out. Okada can't believe it. I can't believe it. Strike battle. Ospreay gets dropped. 25-minute mark here. Ospreay mocking Okada, hitting the Okada pose, hitting the drop kick, and then hitting the Rainmaker. 1-2, no. Hits the Stormbreaker. 1-2. Okada kicks out. Okada has wrist control, getting him up, landing these clobbering clotheslines, trying to hit the Rainmaker, keeping him up by holding him up. Rainmaker. 1-2-3. Okada gets the win here. This was fucking good. Then the motherfucking Vultures come and pick the bones. That's right, Bullet Club come in there. United Empire chase off, chase out Okada, chase out Will Ospreay. Eddie Kingston was involved in that as well. TJP has missed now, so this is officially too many wrestlers with miss. You have Nakamura, you got Julia Hart, and now Asuka. So TJP, too many people with miss. Too many misters right there, TJP, I would say. I'm putting my foot down with that. I know he came out during Wrestle Kingdom with that cool entrance and everything. I didn't know it was going to transfer over to where he's missed in motherfuckers. Ospreay gets the mic, says that he owes Kingston one, and says that Finlay and him will see each other in a steel cage in Osaka for Ospreay's last official match in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Let's go. A cage match? I mean, I know we saw that in FMW back in the day, but I don't think I can remember ever seeing that in New Japan. I'm pretty excited about that one. David Finlay versus Will Ospreay. You know they're going to put over David Finlay because that's their project, and it has been for a while. But I'm still going to be pretty excited about this match. I'm still excited about wrestling, as you can tell. Hopefully you like the show. Fly high. I'm out.